Mystery, conspiracies, ghosts, ghouls, urban legends, folklore, the Appalachian Mountains. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we are talking about something really freaking super awesome cool, and that is the Appalachian Mountains. Or get a snack because we are going to deep dive into the Appalachian Mountains, the history, some of the cases, and some of the folklore. So we're gonna get into like the pretty boring part of the Appalachian Mountains, which is the history, how it formed, a lot of the history that goes into the Appalachian Mountains, going back to European settlers, the indigenous tribes that inhabited it then and still now. Some of them still do inhabit the Appalachian Mountains and trails and locations. So we're going to do a deep dive into that, and if that is too boring for you, I would recommend skipping ahead, but I think it's interesting, and I'm going to talk about it because it's my channel. So let's get into it. History of the Appalachian Mountains. I'm going to give a basic rundown of this because it's not necessarily something interesting to some people, but I think to have a background on it, it'll give you a better understanding as to why people find it so eerie and creepy. And it's an isolated place. Okay, there's a bunch of foliage and trees. A lot of it is overgrown. A lot of it is congealed with just a bunch of flora. There's bushels and bundles of shrubbery and tall looming trees and winding paths that some people find ominous. Mountains were formed over orogenic episodes. The most recent mountain building event occurred during the formation of Pangaea around 360 to 270 million years ago. Indigenous people have inherited this area for thousands of years. European settlers began arriving around the 1600s, significantly impacting the landscape and the culture. Indigenous people have a deep-seated connection to this area. It's been a home for them, and there are some accounts of people saying that when European settlers did arrive to the Appalachian Mountains and the Appalachian Trails, that there was a peaceful relationship between the indigenous people and European settlers. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because we all know how European settlers tend to get the things that they want, which is murder and sexual assault. So just keep that in mind. It could be fabricated. A lot of people doing the research on things such as this tend to muddle the truth a little bit to kind of save face. So keep that in mind, because we all know how white men act. Anyway, before the European settlement, the indigenous peoples utilized the trails and had sacred sites within the mountains representing protection and connection to the landscape. Like I said, they had a very deep-seated connection to the grounds, to the culture, to the nature of it all, really. This next part is actually really interesting to me because the mountains served as a significant importance during the American Revolution. They used it a lot as a defensive barrier during the American Revolution, like a barricade or in like a barracks type of situation. It was a strategic location for the British and American forces alike, and there was just grisly warfare on both sides of that war. While it is unknown the specific number of soldiers who died in the Appalachian Mountains, it is estimated that during the Battle of Kings Mountain, 28 patriots and 290 loyalist soldiers were killed during battle. So there was already significant amount of bloodshed, and that might attribute to the fact that people have really weird interactions within the Appalachian Mountains and in the trails. There could be something tied to that. Next part I'm actually really interested in talking about because it seems that people find the Appalachian Mountains so eerie and mysterious and maybe even haunted. I think is because of the portrayal in media, in movies and TV. There is a sort of stereotype or stigmatization around rural areas, especially ones like the Appalachian Mountains, because of one genre, a genre that I don't personally like, but people in the horror community who enjoy, you know, all types of horror movies, this seems to be a staple genre in all of that type of media, which is hillbilly horror. See this in movies such as Chainsaw Massacre, Cabin Fever, all the Wrong Turn movies, and Rituals. But like I was saying in the beginning, the Appalachian terrain seems to really put off people. I know a lot of the times people would like to hike through the Appalachian trails as a sort of challenge for themselves, as a sort of, you know, a goal to achieve. But with people going in there, they often feel eerie and like cold and being watched, and it could just be because it is a very isolated area up in the mountains. It's just got winding roads and overgrown terrain and isolated, secluded areas, and like I said, the indigenous peoples would use them for rituals and ceremonies and stuff like that. So there, like I said, there's a kind of stigmatization that comes with the territory, and I think people really do find that it can be eerie and mysterious. That's not to say that it's not dangerous, because hey, it's the forest and you're a human being, and while there may not be ghosts and ghouls and Bigfoots, there's real life people. Murders happen all of the time, and people going missing, and people dying from starvation, and if they don't know the trail. It's still a dangerous place because it's in nature, and nature can be scary. There are bears and wolves and snakes and scorpions and shit like that. So, obviously it's going to be dangerous. I find a lot of the time that when people are talking about the Appalachian Mountains, they're talking about whistling or maybe seeing something. They don't really know what it could be, but a lot of the times, and I guess that's just me, when I was looking, a lot of people were just talking about paranormal activity, not in the sense of like, I know in my last video we're talking about skinwalkers and mimics and stuff like that. They were kind of talking in that vein, but not a lot of people are talking about the actual folklore and urban legends tied to the Appalachian Mountains and Appalachia. So, we're going to be talking about some of those today, starting with Mothman. Legend of Mothman is actually a pretty interesting one. The legend of Mothman emerged in a place called Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And like I said, West Virginia is placed on the east side of the Appalachian Mountains between November 1966 and December 1967. There were numerous reports of a large winged creature described as a humanoid with avian features and glowing red eyes. Reports began in 1966 with two couples claiming to have seen a large winged creature near the town gathering spot. Gathering spots like these were pretty prevalent in the 1960s for people to, get it on, do the dirty without their parents knowing. So if you're from West Virginia or know anything about West Virginia, it's actually a really interesting thing because they had their Silver Bridge collapse in 1967, and a lot of people tied it to Mothman. And because they tied it to Mothman, they gave him the title of Harbinger of Doom. A lot of people do think that Mothman was responsible for the bridge falling in 1967. Let's just give like a basic rundown of the bridge. So the Silver Bridge connected from Point Pleasant, West Virginia to, Gallipolis, is that how you say it? Gallipolis, Ohio. And like I said, it collapsed in December 1967, more specifically the 15th of December during rush hour, resulting in 46 deaths. Whoa, that's a lot. The bridge was designed to carry U.S. Route 35 and had one fatal flaw: a single chain supporting the bridge deck. There was a fracture in one of the steel eye bars, excavated by corrosion fatigue to the bridge collapsing. There's also the possibility that it was just a design deficiency. The bridge had a design that lacked structural redundancy, meaning that a failure in one of the areas could cause the entire structure to collapse, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers. Okay, so like I said, a lot of people believed that Mothman was responsible for that collapse, whether it be some supernatural Mothman just being like,
"You guys are pissing me off. I'm gonna break your bridge and cause 46 people to die."
Genuinely, I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments if you think that could have happened. Me personally, I think that it was 1967 and the structural integrity of a bridge, hey, it could have collapsed. There could have been a manufacturing problem, a design deficiency, like I said before. It could have just been old as shit, because I didn't look up when the bridge was built. Maddie editing. The bridge was built in late 1927 and was not open to traffic until May 30th of 1928. So, I guess I just didn't look at it. I guess I just didn't even look at it. So, that's my fault. That's my bad, guys. Whatever. So yes, the bridge was pretty old, considering this happened in 1967, I think is what I said. So yeah. But you know, that's another one of the many possibilities. I don't know. The man's name really seemed to shoot up into the stratosphere when Gary Baker released a book titled The Mothman Prophecies in 1970, as well as John Keel's book of the same name was released in 1975, linking the legend to UFOs and paranormal phenomena. I'm sure a lot of you who are in the paranormal community or in the horror community or in the folklore community already know the legend of Mothman, but I just thought I would bring it up because it seems like a really big staple around that border of the Appalachian Mountains, and it's cool as shit, honestly. And people still claim to see Mothman today. I don't know how much I believe it, but people think there's a Bigfoot too, which I was debating covering because Bigfoot is kind of a subcategory in the Appalachian Mountains, but he's already been talked about so much. Next up, we have the legend of the WAMPUS cat. The WAMPUS cat is another interesting one. I've literally never heard of it before researching all of the folklore of the Appalachian Mountains, but it's kind of sick. I don't know. The WAMPUS cat story goes, a woman hides behind a rock wearing a mountain cat hide, and she spies on a sacred ceremony leading to the transformation of her becoming into the WAMPUS cat. It is said in the legend that the reason she was turned into the WAMPUS cat was for eavesdropping on a sacred ceremony. There are some different interpretations of the story. Like, one of them is some of the elders had the ability to turn her into the WAMPUS cat, or the supernatural spirits did it to her, just turned her to a little puss. So there is some debate on what actually happened there. If you want to leave like the story that you think is true in the comments, that would be sick. But yeah, so far I think honestly I could believe either one. Anyway, this creature is seen with a woman's face in a feline body. This legend is deeply rooted in the Smoky Mountain region, to be closely associated with the Cherokee people. The legend is widely known in Appalachia, but it is believed to have root in Cherokee mythology, where it may have association with being a protector or a warning figure. A key identifier or feature of the WAMPUS cat is its piercing cry or howl. If I heard that shit in the damn Appalachian Mountains. In some versions of this legend, the WAMPUS cat has said to have abilities to transform and like shapeshift. Like I said, I had never heard of this legend before, so I might have put it in my mimics video, but it's just transformation. I mean, I feel like I don't know what it could transform into. They didn't really give much information when I was doing my research. While this story is pretty dope, like I actually really enjoy the story, it could have been embellished by settlers and immigrants who came into Appalachia. So Like many folklore stories, there really isn't any true version of the story, but that's what a story is. It just gets, you know, swapped around, embellished a little bit to kind of keep the entertainment going. So nonetheless, I think it is a dope ass story. Alright, next stop is the Snallygaster. I was researching this, and the entire time I was like, bro, I don't know if I can say this with a straight face when I'm done with my research. I don't know. But let's go ahead and get into it. For several years in the 1920s and early 30s, this creature has caused some trouble in Frederick County, Maryland. Frederick County being situated at the boundary between Piedmont Plateau and the Appalachian Mountains. Area settlers had told stories already for hundreds of years of this beast that stole chickens and other farm animals, and was generally viewed as a pest to local farmers. Many would paint a symbol called a hex sign. I'll show it right here. A hex sign on their barns in hopes of warding off the monster. The Snallygaster is actually a mispronunciation of the term Schnallgeister. I'm sorry, don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize. I'm a dumb American. Which in itself is a corruption of the German term Schnellgeist or quick spirit. The basic rundown, the point that I'm trying to make is it means quick spirit. That's what it means. I'm just reading out my research. I don't know. For generations, though, the story didn't change. No one ever saw the Snallygaster, but everyone assumed that it was there. The monster's appearance coincided with Prohibition. Moonshiners in the forest and mountains of North Maryland co-opted the old story in an effort to cover up their workings, making their product. There would be loud bangs and explosions and bending metal in the forest, in their stills at night. So they would cover up their workings by saying, "Oh, it's the Snallygaster." I don't know why I'm giving them a bad British accent. I just feel like they would be British.
It's the Snallygaster. The Snallygaster's making a load of noise back there when I'm trying to make my moonshine. I mean, I'm not making moonshine. Swear to God.
But yeah, I digress. The sounds and explosions were more than likely the stills that people were making moonshine with. Accounts of thunderous explosions and screeching sounds began to circulate with disturbing regularity. As the noises became more common, so did reports of the winged creature. But the story had been shifted to the creature having these giant, like, tentacles by their beak. So it would be a beak and then giant fucking tentacles that would snatch up grown men and then drag them off into the night. And if the bodies were found, they'd been said to be drained of blood and scorched. Oh. How can something with such a silly name be so goddamn terrifying? That is so terrifying. Alrighty, and our last one is the Raven Mocker. This is another legend from Cherokee mythology. The Raven Mocker is known for stealing the lives of sick people in order to... Can you see this? Okay. Alright. I can't. Yeah, sorry. I can't see. Okay, I guess I'm doing the rest of the video like this. So, the Raven Mocker was known for stealing the lives of sick people in order to extend their own. And the Raven Mocker was kind of known as a sort of witch, not so different from skinwalkers. The Raven Mocker, like I said, a type of witch, could only be recognized by men of medicine, the medicine men in like the tribes in the community. Okay, she's done sitting on my lap. She's too big. She's too big. Every time I tell her she's too big to sit on my lap, and she doesn't give a fuck. So the way that Raven Mockers would steal sick people's lives in order to extend their own is they would track down the person, kill them, rip out their heart, and then eat it. in order to then prolong their own life. Only somebody with the right medicine, like a medicine man, could recognize a raven mocker in their true form. And when a raven mocker was recognized, it was said to be weakened and vulnerable and would die or must die within the week. There's not really a lot of clarification on that type of wording. I don't know if they must die, like the medicine men would kill them, or if they were noticed by the medicine man and like had precautions taken against them, and then it would weaken their form and they would just shrivel up and die. I don't really know how that works. I couldn't really find any more information on that one. So do with that information what you will. To protect the loved ones from the raven mockers, Cherokee people would often have the medicine man stay with a sick person to ward them off. It is also said that raven mockers would not steal the heart from a body if it was already buried in the ground and long dead. I don't know if they found them like appetizing or what the situation was, or maybe they were just plain lazy and just saw the bodies in the grave and they were like, nah, that's too much fucking work. I'm gonna go find some dead people in a hospital or something, or some sick people in a hospital. I'm not going to do that. Ending it off on a light note, these are some Appalachian superstitions that I looked up because I thought it would be a little sweet to kind of end this off with all this crazy shit that I was just talking about. But here are some of the Appalachian superstitions that I looked up. Hey, I don't live there. Okay, I live in buttfuck nowhere. So if these superstitions are wrong, let me know in the comments, because I just did my research and a lot of them were this. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's do it. New Year's Day, it is said that eating black-eyed peas, okay, and stewed tomatoes on New Year's Day would bring you good luck. In that same vein, it was also said that if you were to clean your house or wash your clothes, then it would be washing away your good luck. So you people need to stay nasty in order to get the good luck of the new year. No washing your clothes. Stinky. No washing your house. Make it stinky. And eat the black-eyed peas. And eat your tomatoes and have a good new year, okay? Okay, next one. I don't know the logistics of this one, but I thought it was kind of sick, so I threw it in there. It's the apples and the devil. When harvesting apples, it is said that they would leave one apple on the apple tree in order to keep the devil away. I don't know if this is some Christian innuendo or something about Adam and Eve or something, but I thought it was kind of cool. Leaving him a little treat on the little apple tree, have a little snack. So that's pretty dope. The next one we have is granny magic or granny witchcraft. Fucking sick. Older women, often known as grannies, were seen as the keepers of ancestral knowledge, serving as like midwives and healers and spiritual guides within their communities. They kind of became the beacon of wisdom and like basically an elder, but a girl power elder, a girl's girl elder. Actually, I don't know if that's true, because they might have had backwards ideals like in the 50s where women just had to be housewives or something like that. I'm just coming up with crazy assumptions here. None of it could be true, but honestly, that's kind of what it would seem like considering they're grannies and they were born a really long time ago. Anyway, I digress. That is the end of this crazy freaking video, guys. I hope you freaking liked it or freaking whatever. If you did like it, leave a little like, leave a little comment, leave a little subscribe if you so wish. This one was really fun to make. I do have another video coming out next week about a notorious serial killer, so go ahead and keep up to date with that, because that one's gonna be really cool. No, it's not, because it's about a serial killer, and serial killer's a piece of shit. But, okay guys, thank you so much for stopping by. You look great today. Have a good one. I love you so much. Okay, bye bye.